Welcome to a new episode of the Rebel Radio Podcast, where you can find us at the rebelradiopodcast.com.
Yes.
I was trying to think of something witty to say, and I was like, no, there's nothing witty to say. I'm just going to go right into the website.
Straightforward, baby. Straightforward.
That's right. Straightforward, like this spy movie that we watched is not, but is, if that makes sense. But we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, man, welcome, good listeners to the show. And as we trek on into 2025, and bear with me if I sound a little tired, because I am tired. It's kind of a long week at work, and once again, but it is a Friday night. We're going to do some podcasting here on the show, on the show, and talk a film and talk some other stuff that's been going on. Talk some Super Bowl movie trailers that came out, and some other good stuff here in just a minute. But man, I before the show I was reading we made a joke gimmick one time about our dumbass of the week, and we never really made that a thing. But I'm going to make it a thing again this week. And I was reading an article about Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool and Cavill, and how he's been crying and complaining that Marvel Studios doesn't treat comic book creators correctly. And my feeling on this is, I get it. You created something that people are making a lot of money off of, but on the back end of that, you're getting paid too. You're getting royalties, You're getting checks, and do you really deserve more credit than just a name in the credits created by Rob Liefeld? I don't think you do. I just personally think, he's crying about how they did not get invited to the after party at Deadpool Wolverine, and how Kevin Feige continues just to act like the creators are second fiddle. Well, Kevin Feige has a business to run. Okay. He has a business to run to make movies and stuff. And he has other people that do his jobs to, put your name in the credits and things like that. And it's not his responsibility to make you feel welcome at home or praise you because you created Deadpool or something. His job is to make this film. And I don't think his job is to make you loyalty or give you the best seats in the house in the movie premiere and invite you to a party so you can rub toes with Hugh Jackman. That's not his job, man. And I just think that Rob Liefeld is wrong in this, to be bitching and fussing. I mean, you've made your millions off of Deadpool, Rob Liefeld. You've done well for yourself. Be lucky you got your name in the movie credits. There's thousands of people on this planet that will never see their names in the movie credits of a film ever, or if not millions of people, And I just think, to me, this is just another one of those situations. It's like, oh, boo-hoo, I want more, and I'm going to bitch about it, the rich wanting to get richer, so to speak. I don't know why. I know there might be a comic creator out there listening and going, "Oh, you don't understand," and because they have a lot of independent friends and stuff like that. And maybe I don't completely understand it. Maybe I am completely wrong here. I don't know, but I just feel like, just shut up, dude. Let people enjoy their nice things.
That's like, imagine, if you're back in like 2019. And people have just finished watching Endgame, and they're just like, "Oh, that was great." And I was like, "Well, how about it for the person who created Thanos? Yay!" Yeah. And they're just like, awkward. But yeah, it's out of left field. I think it's you got your credit. Your name's up there. That's it.
Yeah, you got invited to the movie premiere. I mean, you're a comic creator. You don't need to be invited to the after party. You don't need to be rolled out the red carpet at Marvel Studios. I mean, that's good enough, man. You get royalty checks from these things.
Yeah,
and your family will probably get royalty checks from Deadpool and Wolverine for many years to come. This movie airs on different formats and whatever. Kid 25 years from now walking down the street with his headset on and the screen pops up in front of his eyeball and he can watch it right there. Whatever kind of technology we have.
Yeah, whatever he thinks about it just pops up.
Yeah, it pops into your head. You sit there in virtual reality, watch Deadpool or Wolverine, so Rob Liefeld, congratulations. You're the Rebel Radio Podcast Dumbass of the Week. And maybe that's a segment we have to bring back on a weekly basis.
That would be fun.
We'll take turns finding one, and it can be anything, and have some fun with it. But yeah, man, in the meantime, we got some new movie trailers this week during the Super Bowl. We got a new look at, we'll stick with Marvel. We got a new look at Thunderbolts, a new trailer.
Yeah.
This is a movie that the first trailer didn't. It was like, yeah, okay, and but I do enjoy the second trailer a lot more. It makes me a little bit more excited to see this. It's still maybe not. I don't know if it's my top 5 of the year that I want to see, but I haven't like Captain America comes out this weekend, and
Correct.
I think we will end up seeing it, but I may not go till next weekend. But I'm not excited for it. But Thunderbolts has a little bit more excitement to it with that new trailer. I think it looks kind of cool. I'm really curious as to how the Sentry is going to be explained as not an overpowering bad guy that can destroy everything in this, because the Sentry is a pretty bad motherfucker. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Thunderbolts handle this. And maybe they don't win this fight. Maybe Sentry wins this fight. But it's really curious. As the MCU continues forward, you start introducing these new bad guys. Like we know Doctor Doom is coming. We know from the Fantastic Four trailer, Galactus is coming. Possibly, because that's more likely. There's been a rumor that, we'll get to the Fantastic Four rumor in a minute. But so now you're introducing the Sentry. Like, where's the Sentry been all this time? This super powerful guy, more powerful than Thanos. But so, how do you explain these things as you continue to advance this universe further and kind of have to get caught in retconning a lot of stuff? But it looks pretty cool. I mean, I'm down. It's got Florence Poe in it, and I'll watch her, stir her tea if I needed to.
Yes, I'm with you there.
what did you think about the Thunderbolts trailer?
No, I thought it was cool that they introduced a very powerful enemy, and they're like, none of us can fly, and I thought that was cool. That all of them are just like muscles and guns, and that's it.
Yeah.
And see how that works out, which is cool because sometimes I think it's nice to see a little less CGI. You see bullets flying and punches, and I think maybe that might force them to get a little bit more creative with the action scenes possibly. So I like that.
No, I am curious how the selling point of this movie. Now, Marvel fans know who the Thunderbolts are, right? But from an audience standpoint, from Don't Read Comics, and you have Bucky, who is relatively well known for people who have kept up with the MCU over the last 12, 13 years. But then you have a bunch of characters that were a lot of one-off characters in multiple Marvel films.
Yeah.
Like one that came straight from the television show, Falcon Winter Soldier. So will audiences remember these characters? So hopefully the movie does a good job of kind of giving a refresher on that, because a lot of people may not know who Taskmaster was, or even Black Widow's sister, Florence Poe.
Yeah.
I mean, people may not remember, because Black Widow movie was a COVID movie. Remember, that came out during COVID.
It was.
How many people actually saw it, and remember it?
And then she came out in Hawkeye, though. So
right.
If you watched Hawkeye, but
so So you're asking moviegoers to have done a lot of homework, if that makes sense, to know who all these characters are. So hopefully they buy into it. It's getting a huge release. It's getting the early May release, which is always like the kickoff for summer movie season with early May. So, which is a spot usually reserved for big films before the Memorial Day movies hit. Of course, Memorial Day this year is taken up with Mission Impossible. It's going to be the big one. But Thunderbolts looks cool. Mission Impossible, we got a brief new look at it. I'm expecting a new trailer for that pretty soon. And this movie doesn't need any more trailers for me, because it's my must-see movie of the year. I will be in the theaters watching Final Reckoning. There's no doubt about that.
For sure.
And maybe we need to have a I don't want to say final reunion, because that sounds terrible, but we might have to have a reunion of sorts with all the fellows and go see, because we have gone and seen the last couple of ones together, and go see the Final Reckoning when that comes out. And but I'm sold on that one. We got a new look. I don't get too caught up in these animated remakes, these live action remakes, but I have to say that How to Train Your Dragon looks pretty good. I'm like, wow, I'm actually pretty impressed with that trailer. I was like, this actually looks like a live action remake that I kind of want to see.
No, it definitely looks good, and it looks better than the Disney live action remakes.
That's it. Bam, you hit it. The Disney, there's something that always looks weird and off about the Disney live action movies. But How to Train Your Dragon looks like a live action film. It doesn't still look animated. Like there's some weird thing about the Disney stuff that looks just kind of like strange, if that even makes sense. But How to Train Your Dragon just looks really good. I was like actually very impressed.
The way they animated the dragons it looks really good. And if it looks good now, it's going to look even better on screen.
Yeah. I mean, Hiccup looked really cool seeing on the screen like that, and it just like I was impressed. I know there's been some controversy over the casting and all that stuff. Whatever, I don't care as long as the movie, does its job and is entertaining, and it looks really good. I'm excited about that one. But those seem to be the big trailers that came out this week at the Super Bowl. Unless there's something I'm missing, we got a Jurassic World Rebirth trailer, but it was basically just a shortened version of the big trailer. It just came out the few days before. Nothing else that stands out that I can think of. But this summer though, July is stacked. You got Superman, Fantastic Four, and Jurassic World all in July. Then May is Thunderbolts and Mission Impossible. I'm not sure what's coming in June. Well, How to Train Your Dragon's in June. And I know Pixar has a new film, ELO or something like that. It's coming out.
ELO,
I think that's what it's called. That looks really good. But summer movie season so far isn't completely full of a lot of must sees, but there's a few.
There was an F1. There's an F1 movie, right?
Looks good. Yeah.
Yes,
that looks good with Brad Pitt. Yeah, that does look good. F1 looks good. That's directed by Top Gun Maverick director, I believe.
That's right. So that should look good. I bet the if that takeoff right at the beginning of Top Gun Maverick was any indication of how he is going to be able to capture vehicle takeoffs and action shots with motor driven vehicles. That's going to be great. I think he'll do a good job with that.
Yeah, I think so too. It looks really good. There's some good stuff coming out, and that is an Apple movie, but it's not an Apple TV movie like our other co's long thought it was. It will be in theaters.
Okay.
But good stuff come out this summer. But that seems to be the big stuff that's coming this week with the Super Bowl trailers and things like that. That said, I didn't watch a lot of extra movies this week, but I did. We're going to go back to Marvel. I started watching Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the new cartoon.
Okay.
That's on Disney Plus, and don't sleep on this. It's really good. Like, really well written. It's animated like 1960s style. Almost looks like it jumps off of Amazing Fantasy comic books. But yet also modern. It's a different take on Spider-Man. It supposedly kind of ties in with the Spider-Man films, but not really. There's certain elements that, like the kid, whoever they got to voice Spider-Man, sounds a lot like Tom Holland. Aunt May is still young and good looking, like in the movie. But then there's things that are changed about it, and I don't want to spoil too much because I really, really recommend watching this. I really thought, man, Disney animated, I don't know, their animated stuff from Marvel has been so, but I'm about 4 episodes in, and it's really solidly well done. It also has some very, I won't say adult themes, but teenage themes in it. Like there's a character in there that's dealing with gang problems and protecting his younger brother from being in gangs. Really, really good stuff, man. I'm looking forward to getting back into it. It goes quick. They're 30-minute episodes. They go quick, despite Disney Plus's 6 commercials in 30 minutes, which is a little ridiculous sometimes. But I really really surprised how well done this show is, and I hope it lasts. Daredevil has a cameo in it. Doctor Strange has a cameo in it. So some really cool stuff in it, man. So if you're looking for something new to watch that you're on the fence about, I really recommend Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the new cartoon. It's on Disney Plus. But yeah, man, that's about all I really watched. I hope you watched some stuff this week because I was slacking.
I did watch one thing for sure. And we were, actually 2 things. Sorry. So I I wanted to watch something that was free, sort of, I guess. And I came across The Menu on Netflix. And I had a friend that told me that it was good. It's got Ralph Fiennes, it's got Nicholas Hoult and Ann Taylor-Joy, and it's basically a movie about a chef that is obsessed with his work, and people pay like an absurd amount to go eat at his restaurant, which is like at an island, and he serves them, and it's he puts on a bit of a show, but realistically it turns into like a horror comedy. So it's like he starts killing off people. There's people that die. He basically he has become so obsessed, and he hates what he's become, and he hates the people that have pushed him to be this creative cook. And what saves Ann Taylor-Joy is that I guess she kind of unlocks that that same feeling, that memory where he remembers that he used to be a service cook, just a fry cook on the line making burgers and fries, and she asks him for a cheeseburger. And there's a clip that surfaces. That's how I found out that this was from The Menu. She asks for a cheeseburger. She doesn't want anything that he's serving, and she's like, I want with cheddar, with American cheese, and he makes it, and it's kind of like Ratatouille. Whenever the critic tastes the food and he remembers way back when, and he lets her go. She escapes the island, and he blows everybody else up. But it's okay. If there's nothing else, like right now there's Captain America in theaters, but before it was just like it was slim pickings.
So it's like a dark comedy. The Menu.
Yeah, it is a dark comedy. Oh, sorry, but yeah. Hold on.
Matt's over here choking on his own spit, people.
Unfortunately. And then I watched Ghost with Patrick Swayze as Jackie wanted to watch.
I was, dear God, if you did not blame that on Jackie, we were going to start to wonder about you here, man.
I was like, you know what? I want to watch a movie where I'll watch the one where Patrick Swayze is a ghost and starts beating up people.
You're like, oh, he's so sexy. He's shirtless.
So sexy as a ghost, or when he's walking through people. But yeah, that's what I checked out, man. Just those two films, and hopefully I can see some more Eastbound and Down, and check out Captain America over the weekend, maybe. Still got to check out Dogman, so I haven't done that.
Yes, Dogman is weird and bizarre, but a lot of fun. but it's good. It's it's good. There's some stuff that I want to watch that's coming up. I think the Lord of the Rings animated film is supposed to hit Max here, I think next week. So I'm going to watch that when it hits Max.
I liked it. It's definitely worth a watch, especially if it's free.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that. And then I'm trying to think, my daughter's asking me to see Wicked. It's got to be hitting a streaming service soon, I would think. But I'll sit and watch it with her. I'm not opposed. I don't like the original Wizard of Oz, as we mentioned a couple of episodes back, but I'm not opposed to watching the new one.
You know what I found out? So some random facts. The people that had to wear makeup in that film suffered like medical issues from the makeup, like in the years after the film. Like the Tin Man. Yeah, he had severe, because of the like phosphorus and stuff that was in his makeup. He had severe lung issues after, and then like the Wicked Witch, there was lead in her face paint, and so she had medical issues. And then the the man who did this Scarecrow, his face had like, he had like discolored face and stuff like that from the rubber mask that he had to wear. So it's like, limited to the technology that they had. There was, issues that impacted them medically because of it. It was crazy.
I'm not surprised. I mean, back then they didn't have the tech we have now and shit like that. And, yeah, man, it's got to be kind of.
All of that for a damn movie about midgets dancing on a yellow brick road.
And flying monkeys.
Yes, and flying monkeys.
That whole movie, man, you gotta wonder, like, okay, what year did it come out? Like 33, 34, some shit like that. And
yeah.
All I can say is if you really think about The Wizard of Oz, that was some good opiates. Some really good opiates to create that shit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was some motherfucking...
Hip, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck were they seeing? Some sort of acid trip on, that one. But yeah, man. So the Fantastic Four rumor, I didn't come back around to that. So we see Galacticus in this trailer, right? And so word is that why this takes place in the 60s is Galacticus destroys that universe.
Oh, okay.
And then down the line, the Fantastic Four, though, somehow escape because Reed Richards is a genius, right? Mm-hmm. So they're going to somehow escape their universe and end up in the one we know as the MCU. And that will explain where they were the last 40 years and why they didn't help fight Thanos and everything else. So there's got to be an explanation. There's no other reason why this movie takes place in the 1960s. And what it also might explain why their version of Galacticus is tiny because they look very big. Galacticus is supposed to be huge. So we'll see if that rumor comes to be true.
Man.
Yeah, man. So this
week we'll have a Jessica Alba variant in there.
I hope so.
I hope so too, man.
That's what she was.
Can only dream.
People would be always like, "Oh, she can't act." And I was always looking. I'm like, I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
She could just stand there and just do what she did. I mean, like, okay, it's like
100%.
Exactly. She's my favorite part of those Fantastic Four films.
Made it very watchable.
Yeah, especially the scene on the bridge where she,
clothes are invisible.
That's right.
Whoops. How'd that get there?
So let's get into today's featured film then. A little bit earlier than usual, man. But this movie came out in 2015 after years of production hell from various screenwriters and stuff and directors, and finally Guy Ritchie got it off the ground and got Henry Cavill to star, he actually signed on this shortly after finishing the Man of Steel, and Armie Hammer signed on as well, and it's based on the 1960s television series of the same name about spies. It's called The Man From U.N.C.L.E. Matt, let's see if you can summarize this film that I find. I'm gonna let you summarize it first.
I feel like there's a simple plot, and that is Henry Cavill is Napoleon Solo. He works for America. He is CIA's top agent, working out his time because he over-embellished after the war against the Nazis, and now he must use his talents for the good of the country. He meets up with Armie Hammer's character, while rescuing Gaby, and they end up, even though they're at each other's necks, they're forced to team up because there is a criminal organization that has gotten a hold of a nuke, or they're trying to get Gaby's dad to build them a nuke. Sorry, and so they've got to get to them, stop this from happening. Of course, the plan goes a little sideways, and the bad guys end up getting the weapon. But in the end, they, destroy the threat, overcome their differences, become friends, and team up once again for a future movie that never has happened since.
Sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you simplify the plot, which is fair because you're right. It is a simple plot, but I also feel like as I'm rewatching, I'd only seen this one other time. I think this was a Redbox rental back when it came out because it was Guy Ritchie. I wanted to see it. I was curious about it, and I remember not like hating or anything. It's like, okay, it's a decent spy film. It's not a great spy film. It flopped at the box office, but that was more due, I think, to it had an August release. August releases are terrible.
Yeah. End of the summer.
Yeah. Two, Armie Hammer was in some. This is about the time his trouble started, if I remember right. So you couldn't market him when he got into some trouble. And to me, this film is very simple, but also there's a lot going on in this movie. And when I say there's a lot going on between Solo, Gaby, and how do you say his name? Ilya.
Ilya.
Between the three of them, they're trying to one up each other constantly. They all have their motives and their different things they're doing. The dialogue between Armie Hammer and Henry Cavill is very good, but also very kind of monotone and dry, but it's done like that on purpose.
Yes.
So you have to really listen to what they're saying. There's lots of like quick jabs and jokes that like are supposed to be funny, but because it's not designed as a comedy, you don't find yourself laughing at them. So there's a lot of quick-witted Guy Ritchie humor in this, but not in the same way that Snatch is. Snatch is in your face, it's supposed to be kind of a crime comedy. This movie plays it a little bit more straight. It's supposed to be funny, but it's not funny. And so therefore it causes this illusion that there's a lot more going on in this film than there really is. And I think your plot summary really did summarize it well to simplify it, even though it feels like there's a ton going on in this movie.
Yeah, and I like the humor, the dry humor, and it's not in your face comedy, but like whenever Cavill shows up and he's trying to get Gaby over the wall, she's like, "You look important," or your suit does, and then he gets them stuck in the alley after running from Arnie's character, and she's like, where am I supposed to go? And he goes, left through the window. And it's like very quirky. And there's a window that they're stuck right next to that they can go through. And I thought it was funny. Arnie Hammer's character is trying to zip line right behind him, but Cavill has the van back up to where Arnie can't get over the wall, and he has to drop in the middle of a minefield. And so that must have pissed him off, because then the next scene that they're together and he's trying to like throw him through a bathroom. His character is apparently built like a power lifter, so to say, and he has anger problems because the Kremlin views his dad as a failure, and he, it's a way that they kind of control him and get him to do what they want to do, manipulating his mind. So he gets very angry and he's very proud. And he can't control himself very well. But yeah, Gaby's a cool character too. I like her character. And I was trying to remember where I saw her from, and she is from Ex Machina. I look, and
Tomb Raider.
Oh, and Tomb Raider.
The remake.
That's right.
It's Alicia Verkander. She's very good. She might be as good as Henry and Armie are in this film. She might be the best part of the movie. She gives it a charm. She gives it a sense of grounded. She grounds the film with her sensibilities. And she's just a really excellent actress. I think she's already been nominated for an Oscar. They cast her in Tomb Raider, hoping to re-kick that off that franchise, and it didn't do as well as they wanted to. But I actually enjoyed her Tomb Raider film. I actually kind of liked it. And I think she's really solid in this. She plays a good counter to Solo and Iliad's characters for sure. And then there's a nice twist that she's also a spy. Which and she does such a good. I forgot that happened when I rewatched the other day. I'm like, oh, that's right, because the story is sold. Guy Ritchie does a good job as a director and a storyteller, that misdirecting the viewer. You really you don't realize, you're like, oh, well, that's a twist. She's a spy.
Yeah.
And sometimes, we watch a lot of movies. We're good at figuring those things out. You really don't figure it out until she says it. And that's a really good job of the storytelling of this.
Out of left field. Yeah.
Yeah. But it works so well for the plot too. It helps drive the plot even further into better territories than it would have been. Because I think the movie might have gotten a little boring if it had been Solo versus Iliad the whole time.
Yeah.
And it adds an interesting dynamic with her relationship with her dad, and her uncle, because they're running their own thing. And it turns out that she's got a, family that's involved in all this too. So I think it adds extra elements to the storyline.
Yeah, they're trying to use her dad to build that bomb. And what you call it? You've got Elizabeth Debicki as Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been in a few films too. She's been in The Great Gatsby. She was in Tenet and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. She was the part of that like Great Society, and she wanted to mate with Star-Lord. And so she made that awkward comment there, and she's got a husband who was killed. And they play good guys, solid good guys. Solid bad guys. Sorry. And then Hugh Grant is in the film.
Yeah, he appears towards the last half of the movie.
Yeah, I always like Hugh, and he used his original accent for this. His always charming accent, and he's a nice little breath of fresh air. I like how that scene played out at the end where they get the missile to come down. And
yes, that was a great great sequence.
Watching Cavill do this, it really refreshed the idea that he would have been a pretty good Bond. In my opinion, and he liked this film because he wasn't required to work out. They didn't have him shirtless, so he didn't have to like focus on his physique so much. So he said he could kind of focus on his performance and everything else. But I guess he's still jacked because Arnie's had like a boner for him or something. He said that he was just in awe of how good a shape that he was in, stuff like that. So he was ready to buy a room for the two, I guess. So weird dude.
Well, in this movie too, to me, as watching it, like it feels like the Man from U.N.C.L.E was obviously kind of a response to the popularity of James Bond and stuff. This television show, I mean, maybe not directly, but it feels like it was. Yeah. And this movie feels like it could have because it takes place in the 60s. It feels a lot like it could take place in the James Bond universe, like another set of spies that are doing this thing. And because the movie has like this certain coolness to it, which all Guy Ritchie films do. But this is more of a like a straight man's, these guys are cool. They're not going to beat the crap out of you kind of cool, but they're going to do their thing kind of cool, and Henry Cavill just plays this really cool, smooth Napoleon Solo. And then, and where Armie Hammer's Illya is more of a bit more anxious, a bit high strung, cool guy, but yet he knows how to be cool in those moments. And you have, like I said, Gaby plays the one that keeps the glue of the film together because she's that keeps everything level-headed. But yet,
whenever she gets drunk and she starts fighting Armie Hammer's character, Ilya.
And was she just not really sexy in that scene?
She was, dude.
Yeah, it's like you can be sexy without being naked in a film. And there was just something about her really in that scene, which was like, wow, she's really hot right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was cool seeing that because it's like you said, she didn't like. It's not like she took off articles of clothing, but it's just her mannerisms and the wrestling and getting on top and stuff and that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Credit to Guy Ritchie for making that happen from a director standpoint.
Yeah. Well, they were hoping to launch this into a franchise. It had a Comic-Con trailer. It was originally supposed to come out in January of that year, but it got pushed back to the dreaded August. And then they promoted at Comic-Con, hoping it would catch on with the success of Man of Steel, Henry Cavill. but unfortunately it didn't. Only like 110 million worldwide. As of like 2017, there was still talks about a sequel, despite the film not doing well, but it never did happen. And of course, I think by then at that point, Armie Hammer had definitely gotten into some of his legal troubles and things like that.
Yeah.
And Henry Cavill had become a big star. But I think this movie, Guy Ritchie, I think is one of the perfect directors for a film like this. He's so good at crime movies and things like that. Like I said last week, I watched his war movie, The Covenant, which was really good. I would love to see Guy Ritchie. I don't think we've seen his last crime film in his career. I mean, we just had The Gentleman a couple of years ago with Matthew McConaughey, which is really good. And I think The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is a really well crafted movie. Maybe it's not the most action packed film. It has some good action sequences. I really like the scene on the boat and the truck, and they're driving through all the swamps and all that. I thought it was well done. But yet, I think this movie has a lot of buildup. It's a lot of letting the story play out. It's like reading a good book. You let the story play out. You get the little action sequence at the end, and then the movie's not even over after that action sequence because they get the wrong bomb. And they're like, oh, and they both look at each other like, oh shit, you gotta be kidding me. So then they have to go after the right bomb, which plays out with just really cool. You have the action sequence before the climax of the film. And then the climax is just this really clever scene where they use the radio, old-fashioned radio, to track what's her name's boat and blow them up basically with the other bomb. And I thought that was really genius and cool, and it works, and it gives you a satisfying ending of the film. And then we get one last twist at the end in the hotel room where we find out that they were both sent by their respective agencies to kill each other. Solo and Iliad, but they decide out of mutual respect, like, we're not going to do that. And what's his name? Waverly, he knows that, he knew they weren't going to kill each other. So instead he hires them to form a new organization called U.N.C.L.E. And that's how the film ends, like you said, to lead to the sequel that never happened.
Man. Yeah. They were, they asked to go outside, and they're just drinking whiskey out there in the sunset, and the director mentions just the how it looks, just like, oh, how nice out there enjoying the view, a couple glasses of whiskey. But that part was cool, because you think he is gonna convert back to solely going for the Kremlin and his own goals. Right. But he, ends up teaming up with Cavill, or really just, letting bygones be bygones before the team up happens again at the end. He's able to put aside his pride that the Kremlin was trying to push with making fun of his dad and stuff, or comparing him to his dad. That was good. I was surprised at how much I like this movie. The trailer's good. I like the quirkiness, and your main set of characters. They do a good job, especially Cavill. I feel like Cavill's probably the best one.
Yeah, he's very good in the movie. Yeah, it's a good film. Like I said, well-crafted movie. It's on Netflix right now if you've never seen it. Unfortunately, it did not get turned into a franchise, because I think we've talked about this before in the show. The spy genre is a genre that we don't get enough of these kind of films. We kind of, Hollywood has kind of got us stuck in the James Bond rut of spy movies, and now in the last 20 years we've had the Mission Impossible films. But I think there's enough room. It'd be nice to have some other franchises that can bring a fresh ideas to that genre, and then maybe one day a Man from U.N.C.L.E. revival will happen, and we'll get another one, and or another good spy film series out there. But until then, we've got a few that are good, and I think The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is a good one, worth watching. And I remember, like I said, I remember when I first saw this, 10 years ago. I remember liking it, and I thought it was a fun movie, and it was good to rewatch this week and talk about on the show. So it was a good one. We should have did a top 5 spy movies, but we didn't think about that. Too late now.
Yeah, it is too late.
It would be like all James Bond and Mission Impossible.
Yeah. James Bond, GoldenEye, James Bond.
But really though, the Mission Impossible films, other than the first one, they've gotten away from so much being spy films as they are action force saving the world films, you know, to be
Yeah.
fair. Really, the first one's the only one that has real spy elements in it. You know, I mean, there's elements in the other ones, but the first one, the full plot is a spy plot, you know, and then after that, it got into more action films.
Yeah, especially with Rogue Nation and all that. That was definitely an action film.
Yeah. And I mean, you could almost argue with Bond, the only true spy film is From Russia with Love, where he has to go on and actually uses his spy skills, which we covered on the show. So, you know, but interesting topic. So next week, we are going to go a complete opposite direction. We are going to go from spies to martial arts with a film that is probably, you could argue this is probably the second best known Bruce Lee film. You know, after Enter the Dragon. You know, someone might argue Big Boss Man is it not Big Boss? The Big Boss might be the second.
Yeah, Big Boss.
A Game of Death, maybe, but I really think this is probably the second most popular film. I think most people have heard of this film, and they may not remember seeing it, but then you tell them about sequences from it, like in the Coliseum. They're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that movie."
Yeah,
you know. And we are talking The Way of the Dragon. People are used to listening to the show. I usually pop the trailer in right there, but I've had an issue with getting the audio for those trailers anymore, so you might not see those in the show. So we'll do our best to preview. Maybe we'll do like our own trailer one day. We'll do like, this next episode of the show, Bruce Lee in, you know, do something fun like that. We'll do fake trailers one day. But this is a cool movie, man. It has a really cool sequence at the end, and it takes place in the Rome Coliseum, in which we see Bruce Lee fight Chuck Norris and a lot of other cool stuff in this movie. So it should be a fun one to talk about next week. I know, Matt, you're always excited for a Bruce Lee film because it's one of your favorites.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Long is going to join us next week for the show, too, to talk Way of the Dragon. So look out for the next week as we talk the Way of the Dragon on the Rebel Radio Podcast. And until then, visit the rebelradiopodcast.com so you can find us on any app you want to listen to us on, and don't miss a thing. And continue to be safe out there. And until next time, we appreciate you as always for listening. This is Mark.
This is Matt.
And until next week, remember, as always, just go there.
Go there and do it.